Hello there, I'm Alexander and welcome back to Order.
To watch Nicole? Yeah, I can watch Nicole. Yeah, I'll just be watching Nicole while you're streaming.
Okay, cool. How you doing, Sam?
I'm doing fine,
The stream's live.
I hope you had a
now,
fantastic Christmas.
Yes, as do I.
Well, I got BoJack Horseman Season 1, so that was worth it.
But you have a Netflix subscription.
Yeah, but I might not. But what if I stop having Netflix?
Or they take it down.
It's very unlikely they'll take it down, but I like having the physical side of things for, you know, when the internet decides it's not going to fucking work. Seeing as you're someone who has Funimation now, and it barely works for you.
Yeah.
I think you can understand, to a degree, my hesitation.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that is quite impossible.
I'm picking up a guitar of some sort.
A guitar?
Well, it's more like something else. Like, it's a guitar-like stringed instrument.
That's all. I wrote
Ba
it
ba ba ba.
years ago.
Ba 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 ba.
Such an object and witness against
Ba 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 ba.
Feel its history.
And it's just too bad that the new Star Wars when we didn't have that fan theory we thought of, you know, where C-3PO is the villain.
Yeah.
I was once a Jedi.
That would have made things so much more fun.
Yeah.
I know you.
No. But I knew your master, Jaro Tapal. He was a true guardian of the Republic.
He was a hero. Listen. Something happened to me during the purge. I survived, but
Now here's the thing,
connection to the
Vince
Force.
McMahon said the N-word, but you
When I
know,
meditate,
he's the
I let
villain,
my guard
and that
down.
should be okay here, right?
lose
No,
control.
Darth Vader never said
like
the
I'm back in that
N-word,
moment.
and he was effective as a villain.
Survived.
Now see, R2-D2 said it all the time, hence why he was beeped.
You're not alone.
Not
anymore.
What was that on?
Beep. That was that John Oliver thing.
Oh,
Remember
yeah.
that review of WWE.
That wrestling episode, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to send you some more of his stuff on YouTube, because it's
I have
pretty
been
good.
watching some of these things because I watched the reaction, WWE's general reaction to his actual thing, Needless to say, they don't appreciate it.
So,
A place the Empire doesn't know about.
hide out here?
We're done hiding, Cal. See that structure over there? I believe that vault holds the key to rebuilding, but it requires someone strong in the Force to pass its test.
Since you're not a Jedi anymore, that's why you need me.
I know you don't trust me,
Well done,
And I'm
young
not really sure I
Padawan,
trust
but
you.
you are not yet a Jedi.
but we have a common enemy and a common
Right.
cause.
So we're about to start rebuilding the Jedi. Are you on, by the way, Sam? The
But-
stream.
Until then, there's someone here I think you should meet. May the Force be with you.
Are you able to see this?
Hold on. Dun. Beep, boop, boop.
Guess I'm looking for a Jedi then. But if there's already one here,
I'm trying to do it through my tablet, so it's a little easier.
Yeah.
Because the PS4 late. Oh yeah, speaking of, I've managed to fix up my PS4's fan.
Oh, that's good.
Well, it definitely needed cleaning. You're doing it through Twitch.
Yeah.
Okay, you might need to send me the Twitch link.
Alright. I'll send it to you on Facebook.
Or better yet, hold on. Let's see. Close application. Yeah, just send me the Twitch link. I'll watch it through the tablet. It'll probably process it a lot faster. Oh yeah, and 2K20 is now fucking playable.
Yeah, way too late.
I know it's way too fucking late. Beep, boop, boop.
I've sent it to the group chat.
Okay.
Hello, Seb. How are you doing?
Oliver Johnson, because when life gives you lemons, you sit and cry about it. Yes. Well, there we go. I got to play a bit of Dragon's Quest XI.
He looks like Rick Astley. He does a bit, yeah. Happy New Year to Sam, says Seb.
Hello, sir. Happy New Year. Well, happy Hogmanay, Seb. But yeah, I got to play Dragon's Quest XI. It's very English.
Sorry? Dragon Quest XI, what?
I've played Dragon Quest XI. I thought... yeah, it's very English.
Right.
We'll go... Cool, you're right, mate. In a fantasy setting. Or cool, blimey. You've got your posh British, your scummy British, your cockney British, and your genuine homosexuals. According to Yahtzee. And I swear to God, you can tell Akira Toriyama designed a lot of everything.
Yeah, it's I've seen some of the art. It's very Toriyama.
Well, literally, the main character. Put it this way, I literally ran into someone who looked literally facially and hair-wise like Android 17.
Yeah, that's the protagonist.
No, there's more. There's more characters that all either have.
Sam, I knew the word Hogmanay, but I didn't know how to spell it, so I didn't want to embarrass myself.
I'm Cal.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm just...
Beep, 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 boop.
No, not you.
How can you understand it?
Jedi, I think. Hold on. You know the Jedi? What do you know? Wait, hold on.
Dude.
You just sliced that? Thanks.
Oh, handed me a book. Harry McClary from Donald's Dairy. Hey, you want me to read a book to you? Out the gate and off for a walk went Henry McClary from Donaldson's Dairy, with Hercules' morse as big as a horse.
Nobody in Star Wars ever doesn't understand someone.
The bottomly pots covered in spots, Hercules' morse as big as a horse, and Henry McClary from Donaldson's Dairy. Beep boop.
Reach the vault.
Feel to know that, you know, your fan theory, C-3PO being the... Well, didn't happen.
Well...
I mean, I was half expecting this movie... Once made him a villain, if they just made C-3PO the villain, this movie would have made gangbusters.
Did Chewbacca and Luke interact at all in Return of the Jedi? I don't think they do. C-3PO deliberately withheld vital information from the good guys long enough for Palpatine to prepare. Well, you could say that. You could say that because he refuses to translate the Sith holocron, saying he's programmed not to. But he could be lying. Okay, how do we get off the map screen? Oh, I see.
Any ideas? Gotta get across this gap somehow. Is it one? Whoa! How'd you know that would work? Wait, you didn't?
Take that, Black Lion. Is this the Dark Souls of Star Wars games? I'm told it's a Souls-like. I'm not really feeling that just yet.
There's a lot of them lately.
Just like back at the scrapyard. Hey, that was pretty brave. You okay?
Was that a space pig?
I can help you with that. Will you let me? Okay. Well, did, but this should help you get moving for now. Okay, try that. The vault. Yeah, that's where I was headed to.
Nicole,
First, we gotta
no.
figure out a way out of this place.
Customized lightsaber.
Yeah, I found the thing here saying you can use the same argument. Let's see. Pod racing is the only to sell dumb toy. It's dumb. I remember George Lucas saying we can't lose this because it's vital to the story when a sandstorm hits during production. Turns out you can cut the entire shit out the story. It's only the kiddies. It was enjoyable though. You can literally make the same argument about the casino blight if you're you are a kid as well. It's unironic use of a sad excuse of one movie then turning it around and doing the exact opposite. The casino scene literally served no purpose. You could take it out and the movie would be no different. The pod racing is 90%
Fit, but this should work.
and is somewhat decent pilot, and is how he gets his freedom. So no, it's not the same shit.
The Canto Bight scene was there to connect Finn's perception of the Resistance to the wider galactic struggle.
John Boyega's character of Finn deserves a lot better than just screaming Rey on top of his lungs.
He does do that a lot.
That seems to be like most of what he does. I honestly thought most people think it's the stormtroopers to turn on them, to turn on their people like he did. But no, that would be, Oh.
And not just John Boyega.
Yeah, someone's posted a thing from the Japanese translation of My Hero Academia, and it shows even they don't like misgendering people even when they're dead. Murdering, mutilating, kidnapping, terrorism, and nearly sexually assaulting people by taking on someone else's appearance to seduce them is okay, but misgendering someone, no.
Those spines look like they lead somewhere. Hope they're sturdy.
Not just John Boyega, but
sorry,
John
that's just
Gerlager. And
What?
John Childrenager too. Oh, just something Seb was saying. It's that meme, isn't it? Not just the men, but the women and the children too.
They have a suffix after the name. If they the person is androgynous, so they can't tell.
No, there's actually a, you know the transgender character I told you about in My Hero Academia?
Mm-hmm.
Well, she gets murdered by a ball.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point, he even refers to it as a he, and Toga apparently is massive outraged with it. They go, sorry about that, I didn't want to kill him either. You mean her. Please don't make that again.
I'm pretty sure they've got androgynous suffixes in case they can't tell, because...
I don't know, I mean, it's Japan. They tend, most of their entertainment seems to not get... There seems to be a lot more laid back about their own entertainment than the West is.
Full of surprises.
They are the country that's laughing at us.
Thanks, little droid. Okay, let's try this again.
So, Ollie, would you say you enjoyed this new Star Wars trilogy without giving any spoilers?
I would. I think The Rise of Skywalker was fucking dumb in a lot of places. But it was fun.
I don't remember.
I'd still say Mass Effect was a better Star Wars story than it had any right to be. It's not even a Star Wars story.
Hey, a chest. Think the Jedi would mind if we grab supplies? Where are you going? What was in there?
So let's have a look at that then. Oh, that's like the one that Luke has. Like the emitter that Luke has.
Yeah.
I liked it too. I think Rise of Skywalker was the weakest of the three, but still very fun. Yeah, that's true. I like that emitter. Looks more like Luke's No Man's Sky. It's like No Man's Sky, but all the pointless planets are removed. Everything else is nicely remastered with a nice intro song.
Here it is. Say it with me. Cannot be good or bad, but saying this makes you sound dumb. This is why we disable audience scores on Rotten Tomatoes. Too many people think they know what they're talking about.
That's where we need to go. I can feel it.
Yes, I don't give a fuck what normal people have to say. That's why critics exist. This may single-handedly be the dumbest load of tweets I've ever read on this website. All art has objective elements to them. In film, it can be something like cinematography and pacing. These elements do not always affect enjoyment. This is so hard to grasp. I don't understand why people die on this hill where one doesn't exist. When both subjectively and objectively nearly always coexist. Is it insecurity? Can people just not really admit something with flaws can all be enjoyable? And on that note, there is no qualifications for being a fucking critic. They are only worth anything if your tastes align with the individual. This is why it's become a recurring joke how often critic and audience scores don't align, especially without objectivity. Critic has no value.
There's no such thing as an objective review.
Of course there isn't. I still, however, will say that there is that there are shit movies that exist. If you want a perfect example, I could throw out the Dragon Ball Evolution, but why don't I just throw out the entire Resident Evil movie franchise? Movies so bad that they don't even and it's not because they don't even stay consistent with the video game they're based on. It's that they don't even stay consistent with themselves.
An objective review would just be describing the plot. Not even that, it would just be saying that there is one. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is a video game for the PlayStation 4. It has controls. It features a character. It has graphics and music.
Are you just doing that whole thing that Jim did, where they asked him to do a non-objective review of Final Fantasy 13 because he said it was fucking shit? And he did that entire review where he says Lightning is a character. She says words. She moves and walks.
She is not actually made of lightning, but more likely made of flesh skin.
Also, I feel bad for Jim with his whole Fallout 76 thing, because I have a friend who loves Fallout 76 and I don't understand why.
Sean Bean doesn't even die in them. I saw a counterfeit documentary.
Oh, and while I was on Ollie, while I was on 2K20, I don't know why I found it funny, but I went on the community creations to have a laugh, and someone had made the Bean Weight Heavyweight title, and it was just a title that had its picture changed, so it was made out of baked beans.
Right. Bean Ambrose.
Truly, we've hit the pinnacle. Sorry, she's very vocal. Vocal child. There is no objective good or bad, also professional. It's the ones who control. It's a massive hypocrite.
I don't know what to do here.
Ugh. Nicole, stop it! No, you don't steal things and run off with it. Don't ask questions, just consume product and then get excited for next product.
The Shawshank Redemption was a flop when it was in cinemas, yeah, that's true.
I love the Shawshank Redemption, but probably for the wrong reasons. Then again, I hate the fact that Stephen King hates the versions of movies that other people have made that are better than what he's made.
It became popular
Things
when
critics
it
have
came
a
out.
better grasp on how to consume media. Internal laughing.
Well, it's sort of their job.
Here's the thing about being subjective. Something about being subjective doesn't make it powerless or stupid, such as the person considers them. If nearly everyone considered something important, it's still subjective. It might not matter to someone. That's why critics and general audiences have different tastes, and why both viewpoints are subjective. People watch a movie for different reasons. It doesn't matter if the cinematography is bad, when someone just might not care about it. That's at the heart of the I don't care what the masses think. Not necessarily I'm right, you're not. It's that someone who has seen 1,000 movies looks for different things in movies than someone who just wants a background thing to eat popcorn at, and that's okay. Oh, you're trying to read. That's cute.
This tool was used by someone eager to reach the vault.
You know, it occurs to me we'll probably never get anything like drawn together ever again.
No, probably not.
And it makes me sad because I really sometimes there are days where I could just go for that kind of show.
So I want to know if you've heard the show he does with Mike and Pete yet.
No, I haven't. I've kind of been in the process of catching up with all of my other stuff because, much like Ollie, I have a fucking back catalogue of stuff. And recently I got Liz an anime she watched on Crunchyroll that she really liked, but she wanted the English translation for it. Yeah, Liz is dyslexic, so it's harder to read it. Yeah, when it's subbed. So I've literally been catching up on all that stuff. I mean, I haven't even had time to get back. I haven't even had time to look at Seb's, actual work.
Is that 30 to 40? It's 40 to 50. Or 30 to 50. Oh, apparently someone's done a study. You cannot actually kill 30 to 50 feral hogs with an assault weapon.
Ollie, I saw that video of Vince McMahon, if Alexa was Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
It's not as good as the Filthy Frank one, but it's still pretty good. I actually thought I was going to be using the sound bites from Vince.
No, just Ross.
I know.
Ross Twiddell. Formerly King Ross.
They've done well for themselves, even without Blompier.
Yeah, I'm glad they did. I watched them for wrestling content before What Culture these days.
Well, to be fair, the people they've been replaced by at What Culture aren't exactly good. But they seem to be playing off the fact that nobody seems to like the new Adam.
I don't know, I think Jules is alright.
Jules is okay. Simon Miller's okay, although apparently how people actually feel about him in wrestling is kind of another matter altogether.
Simon Miller has done a wrestling podcast or two with Jim Sterling, so...
Well, last I saw of Simon Miller in anything, I remember he was actually training to wrestle.
Yeah, he's wrestled a few times.
Before Fight Wrestling closed down, although apparently there wasn't a lot of positive reception to him in general with, the other wrestlers. I don't know whether it was an angle or not, but one of the wrestlers actually called him a fucking embarrassment and told him to just stop wrestling and instead go back to just making shitty lists on YouTube because he's a disgrace. And Simon visibly didn't like the sound of that.
I'm pretty sure that would have been an angle.
I hope it was.
That sounds like a
again.
promo.
I will say though, Simon's first match, Jesus fucking Christ. He was busted. I think he was busted open and injured in his first match.
Is Glenn Ross a movie or 4 men? What?
I don't listen to Seb, but he's not as savvy with the wrestling. Also, can we live with the fact that that Jim Cornette has not forgiven, Brian Zane yet?
Oh God, he's just a bitter old man.
He really is now. It's harder to respect him anymore. I mean, don't get me wrong, his stuff on Russo and some of the things he says are always funny, but yeah, taking such offence at something that wasn't even aimed at him. Nicole, There's nothing wrong with you. You're just standing on a book. Though, can we also live with the fact that AEW brought Virgil in?
Yeah.
How long till Virgil lies at a convention and claims he was meant to beat Chris Jericho for the title?
Taking offence at something that's not even aimed at you. What is he? Someone on the internet? It took place on Twitter.
I hate when people ask me what I'll be doing tomorrow. Come on, guys, I don't have 20/20 vision. Nicole, get off. It's naughty.
Well done.
I appreciated the joke. I'm surprised that Jerry Lawler hasn't done that joke and managed to butcher it. Huh.
At least Seb knows enough to know that Jerry Lawler's terrible at his jokes.
Hey, he watched the Mark Remark.
Nicole. Nicole, that's enough. Again, sorry about this, old.
We have the force of Rika. No, I think that'd be the other way around. How are you liking this game? I like
Nicole.
Ah, Jesus.
I just put you on a sofa.
I know, but eardrums.
Doing okay back there, BD1? What's this? See something in there?
Hello.
Hey, Ian.
Hey, Ian, how you doing?
What's the matter? Don't like pickles.
Try again.
God, it's a bit.
Yes, the path
Yeah,
is
I've done most of my complaining already.
with persistence.
Yeah.
And the Force as your ally.
I haven't bitched about Ian Flynn though.
You will master any path.
Well, let's save it for the other stream.
Do what you must
Yeah.
to reach me.
Because I watched a podcast with a few people who have actually continued to read his comics after I quit. They all have the same consensus opinion. When it comes to Sonic the Hedgehog himself, he has no fucking idea how to actually write the character. When it comes to his OCs, or the characters he's stolen from other people, he tends to actually do a much better job. He also doesn't like criticism, as you'll find if you happen to point out that his writing is actually lazy. He'll just block you on Twitter.
I did it. Persistence and the Force as my ally. Just remembering old tricks. Think you can show me that shortcut again?
Hello.
Hello, Ian. How you doing?
I'm doing alright, you?
Pretty good.
Oh, so you're playing as the Joker.
Oh yeah. Took me a while to get that. I guess I am.
Yes, though Ian's more maitre d' than motorcycle fetish.
Yeah, I've been looking into some other people, been trying to find some other people other than Chris.
It's very hard to find other people on Chris's level, because again, that I told you about that Sonic 97 thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that drama is just getting bigger. It's not on the same level.
I know.
That's
so hard.
That's the only problem. Her entire thing is literally she's just obsessed with Silver the Hedgehog to a terrifying degree, to the point where she's pushing people away from her.
Want me to suck her dick?
No. And what can you do, my effeminate fellow? I can suck your dick. Ha! No. Your loss. Wait, someone hired us to kill a kid? Yeah. Wow, there is a god.
I mean, I've been looking into furry stories.
Oh god, don't get me fucking started there.
I found
I've been following the D&D stuff. Have you heard of the r/d RPG horror stories?
I haven't, no.
Oh, basically, it's a subreddit thing. There's a couple of them on YouTube where they do the live readings of them, where some people share their stories of terrible time they've had in D&D. Some of them have been quite terrifying, but one of them was why he refuses to have furries in his group.
2019.
Oh damn.
What?
out of context quotes.
The guy explained that he hates doing it because in his group they had one guy who was a furry, and every single time he did it had to be an 8-foot-tall fox furry man with a dick that was ridiculous too big.
I heard a similar story.
And it ruined all of his sessions because the guy's dick kept getting in the way of the sword swinging. Though I also read the ones where the guys are upset, the DMs are so obsessed with anime that they insert an anime plot that makes it so nobody who's playing the game actually gets to play.
And, well, there was one I saw, I was watching called Wolfman Greg.
So, is anyone aware of that Yoda ketamine meme? Loosely.
Yes, I am fully aware. I think I told you before about there's basically there's a series of things that was made by different creators, although the overarching thing they all have in common is that one of them that's actually got a consistent story is Yoda has a drug problem where he's obsessed with ketamine to the point where he ends up in Vietnam after Shaggy drafts him there. And he ends up in a ketamine factory, or he gets fired from a ketamine factory. Though one of the ones that actually has a plot that I actually talked with Seb about was one where he goes to KFC and gets raped by Ezekiel Jackson in the bathroom, the wrestler. Then he starts going on a mass murdering spree where he kills furries with a very particular car, which I'm sure Seb will remember which one it is. So he's arrested, escapes and does the same thing again, but then he's saved by Senator Armstrong from Metal Gear Solid Rising, Revengeance, and becomes like the senator. And he still has his drug problem.
Well,
think you me crazy, you do. No, I am a god.
Well, yes, I was reading this thing called Wolfman Greg.
This already sounds terrifying.
It is messed up, it is. Right. Basically, Greg is like this autistic guy. And, basically he thinks he's a wolf. He goes around like wearing a grey hoodie and with and he attached like cloth ears to it. And
oh shit.
Okay, the first problem that the author points out is that's the fact that he hasn't like bathed properly.
No, of course he hasn't.
Yeah, so he's like stinking out the place, and then. When the class was over, he leaves, and then he bumps into like this guy in the corridor. He's like, "Dude, you need to take a shower, seriously." And then Greg just growls at him, and then just walks off. And the guy's like, "Yeah, he did growl at him."
I'm really being reminded of this one story where you've heard of LARPing.
Yes, I have, yeah.
Well, there's this group of people who actually did a LARP group where they'd rent out an entire park. I think it was like a park area, and they rented the entire weekend to do their LARPing. And when they got there, they noticed there was an extra tent, but it wasn't one of theirs, so they assumed that someone else was using the grounds as well. And while they were doing their nighttime LARPing, when they went to go to this one particular area to continue their role play, I guess, there was this big... No, Nicole, that's not yours. No, it's your mum's tablet. You'll sign her up for Amazon. Where this one naked man is sitting on top of a hill screaming, "I'll cut you if you get closer." And they're not sure if he's role-playing or not, but they keep his distance from him, and then afterwards it turns out he's an escaped mental patient that got out and escaped to the hills.
Yeah. Oh. Well, there's more.
And he was there for 2 days before they thought to call the police.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Go on then. Tell us more about this Wolfman Grey.
Yeah. Well, what the author did, he just chronicled different days on the shit that he did. So the first one I told you about was Monday. The next day it's like they're in history class and the teacher's like, I really need all your homework. But Greg, he didn't do the homework, so he was just sat there staring blankly, you know. And then the teacher just walks up to him and says, "Excuse me, Greg, can I have your homework, please?" And he doesn't do anything, and she's like, "Greg, I really need to do your homework," and he still doesn't do anything. And she sees a piece of paper on his...
Does he get up and pee? Think on something like a wolf?
No, not this time.
Go on.
But there's a piece of paper in front of him on his desk, and she assumes that's the assignment. And so she goes to take it off him, and he just snaps at her. Not like yell at her, just like actual snapping like a dog.
That's what I was thinking, like action.
And then, and as soon as class was over, he just gets up and Naruto runs out the room.
We were talking about Logan yesterday.
Oh, of course. Weeaboos.
I think it was based on a comic. It was called X. Was it called X-Men by any chance?
Yeah. And yeah, so the teacher called security, but no one saw him for the rest of the day. But there was some stoners hanging around outside who said they saw Greg in afternoon detention, and the guy and of course the guy in the detention room didn't care enough to like bother with him. And so the next day,
of course not.
The next day, it's apparently Greg felt bad about what he did.
Well, yeah, growling at people and trying to spit them.
Yeah, and so I think he wanted to apologise to her, but she was late to class.
Did he bring her an animal?
No.
Because that's how my cats tried to my cats used to apologise to me.
Yeah, and so of course she was late. She was late to school, so I think it was the gym teacher. Well, no, it's not the gym teacher. It's one of the football players at the school. Brought her in on his motorcycle, and she had like a bug like slapped on her face. And she goes into class and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm late." And then Greg walks up to her, you know, and he has like a piece of paper in his hands. And she's like, "Yes, Greg, how may I help you?" But then he sees the bug on her face and he licks it off her.
Oh, God.
And then puts like the piece of paper in her like jacket pocket. And then
that's not going to get misconstrued as sexual assault.
Yeah, the thing is, and then he just sits back down, and then she just carries on like nothing happened, but she's like visibly shaking. And so, again, when class was over, he Naruto runs out the room.
Of course he does.
And they didn't see him. They didn't see him again for the rest of the day, and then the school cop was being he was being reported to the school cop by the teacher and her vegan boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, nothing was done about it.
No.
And then the next day, Greg was back.
Oh God.
And again, he hasn't showered. Just a minute. And so, but this day was this is where it gets a bit messed up.
So, did you know that Naruto running does make a marginal difference, but it takes up more energy to hold up your arms in the long run, so it isn't worth it.
No, but tell that to Greg.
Tell me, is Greg old?
I think he is now. I mean, because this
So
happened
now
like
he's
early
old
2000s.
Okay.
Probably. Because this happened
Now's
like
old Greg.
because it's like happened like early 2000s.
Yeah, sorry, I was thinking. I was trying to make a Mighty Boosh joke.
And so the next
I'm
day
old
it's like
Greg, motherfucker.
yeah. So the next day, the teacher had like
This
made
game
a pretty
has a
poor
fucking
decision.
spear grid.
Yeah, so she made this really bad decision to have like take the class outside.
Right.
I mean, it's okay, you know. I think it's a good idea, to, you know, to get the kids out of a hot classroom, but it's not a good idea if you have a student like Greg.
No, because he's going to start shaking and everything and trying to like hunt for things outside.
Yeah. So, I mean, the lesson was going all right until she noticed Greg doing something.
We have found the vault.
What was he doing?
He was digging a hole.
Of course he was.
He was digging a hole, and she's like, "Greg, stop it. The groundskeeper people are going to be very angry with you." But he just ignores her and carries on. And she's like, "Greg, I'm warning you. Please stop that." And then the kid who confronted him in the corridor on the Monday walks up to him, but then stops dead way. And what he did shocked everyone. He pulled down his pants and took a shit in the hole.
Oh my god!
Built by a vanished civilization known as the Zephyr. Meditating through the granted a premonition through the Force. A vision of doom. I have placed inside this book a Jedi hologram.
And when it was all over,
A list of the names and
he pulled his pants back up and sniffed it.
throughout the galaxy. Ahead you will find the
Apparently he filled the entire hole.
Oh god!
this hologram to someone who has followed my path and understands.
Yes, everyone was horrified. And he was sent home. He was sent to the office. And he was sent to the office and then sent home.
The Zephyr once did. In this drawing, you will find everything
And then the next day.
succeed on this journey.
Oh god, there's a next day!
Oh yes.
In the eye of the star.
And this is like this is when some of the horror begins.
The Force be with you.
Oh, it's beginning
Oh yeah.
now.
Oh yes, because
I don't
this
know
is
how
what.
they're shitting in a hole.
Oh, this tops it.
Guess you were the someone I was supposed to meet.
Odd.
Okay.
Go on.
Okay. Friday.
You know, I've been alone before.
Actually, no, he wasn't doing anything on Friday. But it was the next Monday.
Hiding.
So he was late for class.
No way to live.
And so teacher marked him as absent.
Word's right.
And so as he was, as they're like half, I think they were either halfway through the lesson or nearing the end of the lesson. He comes in,
Hey.
and he just quickly hurries to his seat.
Friends.
And as the teacher is like, "Yes, hello, Greg," and then you know, she's continuing the lesson, and then all of a sudden they're hearing like crunching noises.
Destination unlocked.
And so it was like they turn around to see what the commotion is about, and then Greg was eating a dead bird. That's why he was late. He was running around trying to catch a bird and then eat
Sounds
it.
like you did. We'll be waiting.
And then everyone was feeling sick. They were like, "Oh my god," and all that. And then and then the kid who tried to confront him, well, confronted him last Monday, and then on Friday he walks up to him because he's had enough, but before he could reach him, Greg threw the bird at him and then ran out the room Naruto style. But not before attempting to jump over the desk and then landing face first onto the floor.
Oh, fuck.
But of course, I forgot to mention, the teacher tried to rescue the bird from him, but he bites her.
He bit. Oh god! You do realise that bird is probably infected with something, depending on what kind of bird. He's probably given a.
Yes, because it mentions here that the teacher missed 2 weeks of school because of an infection.
Oh god! I was joking.
But you guessed right.
What? So what? He literally ate a bird, and his mouth was diseased enough that when he bit her, he actually passed on an infection.
That's what it said.
Oh.
And then after about a week, due to the teacher's absence, they had to get a substitute teacher. And she is like the worst kind of substitute teacher. You know, the kind that doesn't even know what they're doing.
Yeah, I know the kind.
They're like, look, I don't know what you were studying, from your actual teacher, but I'm going to make you do this instead, kind of teacher.
Yes.
Yeah, so she makes them go to the... Yeah. She makes them go to the computer lab. And
yeah,
so,
because why bother trying to do your job or learn what you've got to do?
Yeah, so so I want you to go on the computers and research this and that, and she fell asleep.
Of course she did.
Yeah, and
But what did Greg do?
Did
we'll
you know
get to that.
Mussolini was a supply teacher? Oh. That right.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I should mention there's there's a bit of a romantic subplot in this.
Oh.
Doesn't
Please
involve
tell me it's
Greg.
not between him and the bird.
No.
Oh, good.
It's between the author and this goth girl.
Aww.
Yeah, it's a nice little story because him and the goth girl are flirting in the computer lab, and he was helping her write her horror story.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all very sweet, and all that, until the author saw what Greg was doing.
Oh god!
And then he was like horror, and he just looked on in horror, and then the goth girl was like, "What's wrong?" And she turns around, she sees, and she shrieks, "Oh my god!" And that turned everyone's attention to Greg and woke the substitute teacher up.
I'm sure the substitute teacher, horrified as well.
Yeah. Because he was jerking off to furry porn.
Oh my god, what, in public?
Yes. Dick out and everything.
Okay,
Oh god!
I've only half been paying attention, to be honest. Is this a story you've written?
No, it's a real life account.
Right.
To be honest,
Seb's
all the crap
and
I've
the
heard
weird
on the
corner of the
especially...
internet. Yeah.
Yeah. He was...
Look, to be fair, from what I've heard online, this isn't actually the most unusual, because I can only speak from the account what some people have said, but there's a reason that a certain group of people don't have their own convention anymore.
And
a lot of that, according to one of the people from the fandom that would have gone to that kind of convention, has said that unfortunately that particular group of people believed that because they identified with the animal, it meant that they could act like an animal in public, and this got them kicked out of conventions, hotels and everything, because you literally had a group of people in fursuits or in general acting generally like animals, jerking off, pissing against the walls, shit in public and doing whatever they wanted, like what animals would do, and not thinking about the actual consequences.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there are people who believe that because they identify as the animal, that behaving like the animal would, or doing whatever they want, is kind of acceptable. So a guy jerking off to one in public in a high school is honestly not the weirdest thing I've heard.
But here's the thing: it's like when he saw that he got caught, he got frightened, and instead of trying to switch off the computer, he just threw the monitor off the desk.
What the hell? I'm sure you know school. I know schools have this annoying tendency to exaggerate the value of the thing you know, the property of the building. But I know a monitor back then isn't going to be cheap, especially considering if it's a school one.
Yeah, and of course, he got caught mid-climax.
Oh, God!
And it went everywhere.
Oh, God! Please, Ian.
And of course, they had to get what the author calls the Tard Wranglers in.
Oh, God! I don't. You know, I can guess.
Yeah, and so he was transferred out of regular classes. But
please tell me he was sent somewhere where they would give him shock therapy or something.
No such luck, because this isn't the end of Wolfman Greg.
Oh, God. No, oh, God, there's more of Wolfman Greg.
Oh, yeah. And we're coming up to, because a month goes by, but the date that the author writes was the last date at school he ever saw of him.
Creature seems so at home here. Protector of Pagana.
Yeah.
I thought that was you.
Oh, God, I feel like we're getting somewhere very specific.
Yeah. And so, he couldn't attend regular classes except for the history class, but he had to be accompanied by a wrangler. And who didn't really put up with any of his crap except for the growling.
Okay.
And so on this particular day, this wrangler chose the worst possible time to go out and get a meal from Arby's.
Oh, gosh.
Because the author and his now girlfriend, the goth girl, are all hanging out with her friends, and they were talking about Edgar Allan Poe.
Of course they do.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Greg bursts through the doors and starts howling. And he seems to be looking around for prey.
A prey?
Prey.
Oh, God.
And he finds this poor girl who he jumps on and pulls his pants down and starts humping her back.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And everyone is like...
Donkey played by Eddie Murphy to seduce the dragon. I had some thought.
Yeah, and so this poor girl was being victimised by him, but everyone was like frozen in fear. And then he come
so no one had the decency to jump up and pull him off and start beating him up?
No. No one.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And so, so he came up all over her back.
Oh, God.
And it was in that moment, it was the final straw. He got expelled.
Of course.
And the Wrangler got...
I would have thought he got expelled for masturbating in public.
Yeah, and he was... Not only did he get expelled, he was also labelled as a sex offender.
And let me guess, to Greg that didn't matter because he was a wolf.
I guess. And then his Wrangler got fired.
Of course.
And the poor girl he victimised dropped out of school. And that was the end of Wolfman Greg, for high school at least.
Oh.
Because the author didn't come across Wolfman Greg again until after he graduated from college.
Oh God.
Yeah, so he's driving back to his hometown, to meet his parents and all that. And then, right next to him, comes Wolfman Greg driving around on a Vespa. But thankfully he doesn't recognise the author. So the author tries to keep his distance.
You know what my biggest fear is? Rabies. Oh, trivia fact, do you know what Darth Vader's biggest fear is?
Seagulls.
That's Yoda's.
Stop it now! It's...
And so, he finds out that Greg has moved in next door to his parents.
Oh God.
But he rarely goes outside because he spends most of his time on the internet.
Looking at furry porn, probably.
Yeah.
Mountains, the highest ground.
So the author, and then one night the author was trying to sleep, but he was kept awake by Greg's howling.
Yeah, still howling after all this time.
In the Darth Vader comic that Marvel have done in the wake of the last few years, that the expanded universe that isn't mostly garbage. It turns out that Vader's biggest fear is fire. And Grand Moff Tarkin figures that out while hunting him like a deer. At Vader's request. This was a gentleman's bet between them. Vader asked Tarkin to hunt him to the best of his ability. And Tarkin won the fight, even though Vader could have killed him.
Yeah, so the author is so while Greg was howling, the author opens the window and shouts at him. It's like, Greg, it's 11 o'clock at night, I have to go home tomorrow, I need sleep. Now shut the fuck up. And he shuts the window. And then a few months later, his mum calls him and says that Greg is dead. Because the cops have entered his home due to a smell complaint. And so he says the author figures out that he inadvertently got Greg to kill himself.
Oh. Really? Because he was being I think he was being very reasonable.
Yeah. And that's the end of Wolfman Greg.
He died as he lived. Cut off regular society. Well, that is one of the worst kind of story I've heard.
Yeah, I mean...
it doesn't measure up to any... It doesn't none of my stories measure up to anything like that.
It's just that I've been trying to find other people other than Chris. I mean, because he isn't really doing much.
Well, Chris is still doing his dimensional merge and the whole. Lately,
until something comes of that, yeah.
Lately, there's some guy who's following Chris at the moment, and Chris is aware of who is actively trying to warn Chris against Jacob Sockness.
Yeah.
And there was that whole situation with that girl who redesigns characters. Basically, Chris has taken a massive umbrage with what she's been doing recently.
Yeah.
Because all she did was she decided that Chris's designs, she liked redesigning, and apparently Chris really liked her redesigns of Rose Chew and Sonichu. But then recently she did the chaotic combo. And she decided for fun she would design them like D&D classes. And she made a comment that Sonichu is just Knuckles with Asian eyes. So she made them a bit more unique. Now, in Chris' mind, this is a bit much. It's a bit too much for him to take, because he's now decided that these are new, completely different characters that now exist. Because if you remember, he now thinks that all fictional characters are real now and exist in Universe C-137. Yes, he watched enough Rick and Morty to think that's a thing. Oh, lordy. But yeah, he thinks that these are completely different characters now, and apparently it's stressed him out because now he's had to justify these characters existing. I mean, if you remember when Alec Benson Leary made parody versions, he decided that these weren't the same characters and tried to force him to rename them. If you remember, bitch. Oh, God. Yeah, because there's a guy on YouTube called Dylan Thomas who does he reads some of the articles, he's done a few things. Chris is aware of him, but he spends some of his time documenting some of the things that are going on. He's also done some things against, alongside the YouTube and other, crazy people. Well, don't throw yourself on your butt. You won't hurt yourself if you do it like that, if you keep doing that. Yeah, most of the D&D horror stories I get are usually, having to deal with shitty DM or a complete edgelord. I mean, I don't know if you've ever played D&D.
I have played role-playing games, but I've never played an actual D&D game.
I've only played 3 D&D games, all of them at college, with a few people, and one of them I'm sure I've told you about with the Henry Hoovers.
Thanks.
Oh yeah.
Well, it was one where I think it was, for the sake of this thing, I think it was Kieran or Kevin who had a button low on all these different versions of D&D you could play, and he picked a vampire one that me and several others joined in on. I was a vampire pimp.
Cool.
And I mean complete with the pink fluffy hat and the cane and everything. And this one guy, for the sake of this thing, we're just going to call him Steve, for that was his name, consistently made the entire campaign difficult. We were told as vampires you couldn't obviously let people know. Yeah, let the human people know that you had powers. So don't make it obvious. So my thought was we need to get blood. So I was teamed up with his brother, and we just threw a couple of pennies into an alley where the homeless people beat each other to death and feasted on the loser. That wasn't my plan. My plan was just to throw the money in and then ambush them, but then because of the dice roll, the homeless people jumped in and beat each other to death. So I was like, okay. That was how we dealt with this. Steve decided to use his vampire strength to lift an entire motorcycle and a refrigerating unit and carry it through the streets running at full pelt. Making it obvious, hey, look at me, I'm different. Then the next time we were hunting someone and we were told that these ghouls were around and we weren't supposed to attack them or anything. Initiates an attack in which his character takes a lot of damage. Thank you. When his character takes a lot of damage, my character just sits there on a bench watching everything because doesn't need, fight. Then it comes to we've got to break to a building, so he thinks the best idea would be to throw us over the hedge maze. So he uses his strength to throw us over the hedge maze, but then keeps throwing us back over and over, and this goes on for like 20 minutes. Eventually, the DM gets so fucking tired of dealing with this shit that he summons an entire group of sentient Henry Hoovers that proceeds to sodomise him. With a grin on their faces. As you can expect, the poor bastard doesn't like this very well much. Those are my only experiences.
Was this Vampire the Masquerade?
I've been Vampire the Masquerade.
I've always wanted to play that.
That didn't do it.
Yeah. Well, that was one of the D&D things we did. Another one was one where we were like in a battle royale situation, where we were being chased by a sentient robot called Mr. Flibble. Nicole.
Yeah, I remember playing like a super villain based one.
Because I'm trying to build one up for Liz to play, because Liz wants to play one based around Overlord.
I just think there's a lot of potential in that universe.
So
we've got the books.
We've got the books. We've got the books for references. It's all about making it work in a D&D scenario. Hold on.
I prefer blue. So it says D&D horror stories. So basically the penultimate episode of Game of Thrones.
Although there was a few more furry-based ones as well, where penalised by the DM because he didn't choose a furry race. He chose a hue play. So the DM, who was a hardcore furry, basically made his entire run in the game miserable. Basically, every roll he made failed because he had to take a disadvantage for being human. He had to pay triple what everyone else paid in the stores. He got no loot, or if he did, it wasn't built for him. Nicole, come on, you're being silly.
Room for storage. They kept food and supplies.
Of course, there's a lot of who join in these verses. Well, apparently the male equivalent is called a Craig. And there's a lot of Craigs. And it's worse when one of them, they did one based around the Elder Scrolls. And this one guy played a dark elf, and he would not give any information, like any character background, to the DM, and he was just a dick all the time. And in the end, when they oh god, the angel guy one. I forgot about that one. There's one where this guy who doesn't play D&D, but he's obsessed with angels, and he wants to play an angel in D&D, and they keep telling him there isn't an angel race. There is a race that is descended from angels, but not a full-on angel, and he just will not accept it. And then after like a day of talking him through it and helping him build the character sheets, they have their session, And when he's made to introduce his character, he introduces it as an angel and uses one of the angel monsters as his front sheet. And they keep telling him off for it and saying that's not how this works, you can't keep doing this. So they make him a new character, and the entire time using his character's party members or attack NPCs and blame his party or try to kill them. Or because he couldn't play an angel.
Right, guys, I'm going to call it a stream here because I'm feeling fatigue from it. So.
Alright. You still want to do the thing for New Year's?
Possibly. Yeah, I think so.
Well, just let us know and we can do it through Skype or something.
Yeah. Well, anyway, dudes, where can the internet find more of you?
You can find me on Murasaki's Pit on YouTube.
Okay, you can find me Within the Grey Walls, where I'll be continuing Spider-Man.
The habits are dying hard. You don't need to say that anymore. The curse is over.
I know. Life is Strange 2.
Which, again, we've already watched, is traumatic enough as it is.
Spider-Man's on the PlayStation Store for like 14 quid. If you haven't got it, you should pick it up. Really good.
Yeah,
Beware!
Alright, so we'll see you next time, guys.